10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's driving me crazy, the way you make me feel.
Hi, and welcome to Dax Chats. In this episode, I am speaking to a new talent. She has come out early this year with her debut EP called Train Wreck Hearts, which was also the lead single from the EP. She has just released a brand new single called Rewind and Stop, and I'm talking about Sarah McAdams, and today, Dax Chats to Sarah McAdams. Here she is. Hello, Sarah.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I feel like we've done all this before.
Catching deja vu.
So let's start from the beginning. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties on the last go round. Let's start from the beginning and let's talk about Sarah McAdams. Where did you come from and how did you get involved in country music, even though you don't want to be put in a box?
Well, I started with music and everything when I was really young. I did a bunch of different choirs and everything. Started with country competitions when I was 14 or 15. And I ended up going into the competitions through my vocal coach at the time, Amelia McNeely from Nearly Rich, who I told I wanted to be a punk singer, and her response was, well, you're going into country competitions, so time for a change. And
Yeah.
from there I actually got to meet Rod Motby, who ended up recording the EP Trainer Hearts, and who ended up, I think, introducing me to the thought of Academy, and through which I ended up being able to meet a bunch of different artists. And yeah, I think it all just sort of was history from there.
It all snowballed. Yes, right. That's very true. So you did in January this year, you headed off to the Country Music Academy, the Academy of Country Music in Tamworth, which is a grueling 2 weeks where you learn everything about the business as well as songwriting processes, and you get to make a lot of new acquaintances and mentorships with some of the greatest people that have been around country music in Australia. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. Oh gosh, I don't think I could trade that experience for the world. It was a stressful 2 weeks, which I'll admit, and I have pretty bad anxiety and depression most times, so that didn't help during the 2 weeks, especially since it was basically like a 6 a.m. wake up, and we didn't finish until 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. I was in KB's group, so if he wanted us to keep going, we'd have to keep going. But and then everyone would go out for drinks. It was the celebration, so we wouldn't finish until like 12. So was that, and then 2 weeks
and then back up at 6.
Yeah, exactly. So but through all of that, I got to meet Lynn Botel, who basically helped me through the entire way. Mental
Isn't she a
health
darling?
wise, I think she is. She took me to the honey pot like 4 times because I was just a wreck. And she was just the sweetest. Her and Beck Gracie. But being able to work alongside, Lynn and KB and Roger, and just being able to have, talks and like lectures and stuff like that from people like Shane Nicholson and Amber Lawrence and Elise Simmons, it was amazing. And I have too many audio files on my phone from those lectures because I just wanted to remember everything.
Yeah, that's good. You just send them to me. I might learn something.
They're an hour and a half long, so good luck.
That's all right. I'm all for that. You've got WeTransfer. Just send them through WeTransfer, and I'll sit there and listen to them. Maybe I'll learn something. Because look, when I was growing up, and wanting to be an artist myself, there wasn't that type of thing around. There was no Academy of Country Music when I was getting into it, and so you had to learn the business the hard way. And I'm still learning every day. I'm still learning more stuff. It's amazing what you figure out once you're not doing it. It's like, oh, should I have done it that way? So your first single was, of course, the title track from the EP, Trainwreck Hearts, and which was a bloody fantastic song. Loved it. Loved every minute about it. I'm sure you've seen the videos that I was doing. We stopped doing those because of copyright issues, but I'm sure you did see a couple of them, and you saw me dancing and singing, and I dance. I'd sing to the camera. Why don't we just stick to being friends? I think that was my favorite line in the whole thing. It was just, stop. Why don't we just stick to being friends? And back to the music. I was like, yes, that works. That's great. So this song was about, obviously, a relationship, and as we talked about just previously, pretty much the EP was written about the same relationship. Hi, I believe your name is Taylor Swift.
Yeah, oh gosh, it legit. I was 16, 17 and was basically in the midst of a near relationship. I wouldn't call it a relationship because nothing ever happened. There was like little conversations about possibly getting together, but nothing ever happened in the end. And then that's when he was like, let's just stay friends. And I went, great, music, like writing material.
New song. Thank you for the memories. I'm gonna put it down. That's right. And so many and so many people do that. I was speaking to Haley Jensen the other day, and she basically turned around and she said, "You know what they say? Don't piss off a songwriter."
Yeah. I think my past partners would definitely agree with that.
So I mean, but that's where we get all our information for our songs. It's usually from personal experience. Some people, actually write stories that have nothing to do with them, but a lot of people write from personal experience. So there you go. Too bad for whoever the guy was. Tough luck, but thank you for the music.
Yeah, I think the one good thing about that whole experience was me getting 3 to 4 songs out of it, which was a bit of a bonus. So yeah.
So the new single, Rewind. Oh, sorry. Before we go to the new single, of course we have to talk about Jay Sini. You did the video clip for Trainwreck Hearts with Jay. Very early wake up calls and for sunrise shots and a lot of acting that you weren't very comfortable with. Let's talk about that.
Well, I'm a very, I wouldn't say introverted person. I'm a very shy person when I don't know somebody. And I had met the actor, Brendan Palmer, for the first time that day. And it just scared the ever-living hell out of me because I had to pretend to be in a relationship with him. And Jay's first scene with me and Brandon, he was like, all right, you guys hold hands and walk down the beach. And I went, excuse me?
Excuse me.
Because it takes a lot for me to be like comfortable with intimacy in general and having to act like you're comfortable with it is so hard to do. And props to actors that can actually do that, like Brandon. But I was terrible. I think he carried the entire music video on his back. Him and Jay collectively.
Yeah. Jay's a very good bloke. He knows how to get the story out of you for the clip, and he managed to do it. It was a good clip. I like it. I was watching it before. So moving on from that, now, as I said to you, that you brought that out on you debuted that on the 22nd of March. However, on the 23rd of March, the proverbial hit the fan, and COVID happened, and we're going into lockdown. Now, I know from your socials that some things were going on with you, and you wanted to take a break from things. You were getting a bit stressed out. You actually basically signed yourself off your personal Facebook page for a while, and you've got a couple of personal Facebook pages. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I've got my music one that my gracious mother runs, because I would not be able to run a Facebook page to save my life, which is evident in my personal Facebook page, which I basically go on once every 3 days. So
that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. I mean, we don't need social media. Like, okay, social media plays a part in life, but it doesn't have to be the be-all and end-all of life. And too many people get too accustomed to sitting on their phones. Look what happened. Oh, look, not even I do that. I can't do it. I have to be involved with social media for the radio station and stuff like that. But even when I bought out the whiskey in 2019, I didn't promote it that much because I just couldn't be bothered.
Yeah, and I think I've been doing a couple sort of like social media purges over the past couple months due to everything happening online, and it's actually benefited my mental health greatly because I'm not constantly worrying about, who posted this? Oh, if I posted something, did a specific person see it? Or how many likes did it get? Or it's draining mentally.
How much reach did it get? Did it reach all corners of the world? I get this. I feel the same way. And obviously we do these interviews, and I'm like, oh, how many people watch this interview? So I do that for business, but I don't do it for personal stuff. It's like. And I had another interview with Scarlett's Way in Western Australia the other day, and Shane turned around to me and said he could say on his personal page that puppies were cute, and people would take that as he hates cats. So, it's a very scary world. It's a very scary world when you've got to worry about what you're saying and how that could offend somebody. If it's your truth, it's your truth, and if people get offended by it, well, just you don't have to look at it. You don't have to listen to it. You don't have to, it's this new world that we live in is crazy, and it's more than just this new world where we have to worry about everything we say. We now have to worry about how close we can get to each other. It's become crazy.
Exactly. It is a stressful time to be in the world.
And through it all, you've had to try and be an artist as well, but back off social media, but still try and keep some sort of momentum going for your music, which accumulated in you bringing out the new single, Rewind and Stop. So let's talk about Rewind and Stop.
Yeah, I've had my mom say that it's like my version of Horses, because I personally, it's not my favorite on the album, the EP, sorry. My favorite's actually Amber, because of how, sort of dark and moody it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's apparently been a fan favorite for everyone else.
Mm.
And it's, yeah, I think it's because it's a love song that, you know, it's one of those typical love songs that everyone can kind of connect with and relate to.
Mm.
And I was that 17-year-old that thought I was in love and obviously wasn't. And it just sort of, it's sort of about, you know, that feeling that you get when you're with the special someone, the person you love, or even if you're just with a friend and
Mm-hmm.
you just want to stay in that moment forever and just sort of. I had someone from Kicks FM. I can't remember names for the life of me,
Crossy?
but I think it was actually Luke.
Yeah, Luke Cross. Yeah, Crossy.
Yeah, Luke Cross. He said that it reminded him of, you know, a VHS tape being like rewinded and like pausing it in that moment. And yeah, I love that analogy now.
Yeah. Watching the going back to a point and making time stand still. There you go.
Exactly.
Mm.
And it's a very happy-go-lucky song that was followed by a very sounding happy-go-lucky, but if you listen to the lyrics, is not as happy.
Not so happy. Yeah, that's right, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I guess, you know, as we know, as I said before, we're going through this weird and wonderful pandemic that keeps changing daily. You're in the western suburbs of Sydney at the moment. Things are heating up again in Sydney. They have obviously exploded in Victoria, but they are now heating up again in Sydney. Yeah. What's it like for you currently in the situation you're in?
Yeah, with everything that's been going on, it's kind of terrifying. Just hearing the amount of, you know, people that are becoming sick lately. And like I work at a pet store, and we've got for workers, it's not compulsory for us to wear masks, but because I live in Penrith, people in Penrith, they just don't care. And they, one of my co-workers actually said that someone had come in the other day and she asked how this customer's day was, and they said, oh, it was absolutely crap. I just had to get a COVID test done. And it was like, why did you come into the store? Like, why are people not taking this seriously, getting it over and done with, and then we can be on our merry way and healthy?
Well, that goes to the demographic that you live, where you live. I mean, I used to live in Penrith, and I'm a Bankstown boy originally, but I've spent time in Penrith and Kingswood and Warrington Park. Thank goodness I never lived in Mount Druitt, but I've seen Mount Druitt. It's not nice.
It's a certain type of demographic, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I worked in Blacktown when I was younger, so all of that line, what's the other one? Doonside. All of that line is just absolutely shocking. And I mean, Penrith has come up a bit over the years, you know. It was the first place to get a Krispy Kreme in Australia. I mean, there you go.
I actually didn't know that.
That was the first Krispy Kreme in Australia, the one outside Panthers.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
That's actually really cool.
Mm-hmm. Do you know where the first McDonald's in Australia was? Now, there's a good question for you.
No, I don't actually.
It was in my hometown of Yagoona in 1972. It was opened, which was the year I was born. I will never forget that.
So cool.
There you go. A little bit of pop trivia for you there. Yeah. So unfortunately, the demographic in the area, they don't think that the rules apply to them. And I guess probably the same in Bankstown, Punch Bowl, Lakemba, Wiley Park, all around where I grew up. Probably the same stuff is happening. Yeah.
And I actually visited Bondi a month or two ago, and oh God, people didn't take it seriously either. It got to the point where like I was out at nighttime and I had to walk sort of near the beach to get something and then run back, and people were basically shoulder to shoulder ordering drinks at this tiny pub, and it was a breeding ground.
Well, unfortunately, that only makes things worse, because Bondi, Waverley, the whole of Waverley was a hotspot. So Bondi Junction, Bondi, even up to Randwick, Coogee, the whole area was a hotspot, and they blamed backpackers for it.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I've been following along what's happening in Australia, and I do say that I don't think I'll be returning for some time.
Yeah, probably best to stay in China for now. Yeah,
I'm quite happy where I am right here. Well, like, to go back to Australia now, for starters, there is absolutely no flights from any city in China to Australia. To any city in Australia. So I can't actually fly to Australia even if I wanted to. And then second of all, once you get to Australia, you're supposed to go into one of these quarantine hotels. I am never doing that. That's a breeding ground for COVID.
Yeah. It's you'd hope they'd be sanitizing and cleaning, and probably not happens. It probably doesn't happen as much as you'd want it to, but it's
it's not nice to find out that these hotels have been the part of the reason that the pandemic is still going on in Australia.
Yeah.
So no, thank you. And then people and then people protesting on the streets, like, there's no such thing as a social distance protest.
Yeah, I think at this point in time, there's two major things happening in the world. The
BLM
Black Lives
movement,
Matter protests, and
then the freedom movement, because yeah, that's the new one, the freedom movement, because the governments are controlling our freedoms. Yes.
Yeah, see, the BLM protests I 100% support. The freedom protests, on the other hand, those are an interesting little bitty that is not necessary.
Well, I have a different opinion on that. The BLM protest, basically, okay, what happens in America, and Americans can protest all they like about what they feel is wrong and unjust. But the Australians have worked very hard at bridging the gap between the Indigenous people and the Australian people, to the point of saying sorry. And there's a lot of groundwork that's been done in Australia for the Indigenous people. And I don't think that it was an Australian problem for people to protest. I think it was just we all got on a bandwagon because America's doing it, we're going to do it too. So unfortunately, during a pandemic, I wouldn't have allowed it to happen. If I was the part of the Supreme Court who allowed it to happen, I can't believe that happened. But they went all the way to the Supreme Court, and I would have said no. You can't. This is one of the most dangerous times in history. You can't be protesting now.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I think at the same time, there was a protest done near Central Station in Sydney, and I actually had a couple of friends there who weren't even a part of the protest. They were trying to get out of Central Station, and it was an absolutely peaceful protest. No one was being violent. I think it was a silent protest as well. I'm not entirely sure. But it all of a sudden police officers just started putting tear gas thing, and they
Yeah.
were blocking the people in at the station. People couldn't get home from work. And
Goodness.
just, I think stuff like that has what's caused all of the issues in Australia with the protests, and it's what's caused people to want to fight back. Because I think while it's not, I don't think it's as big as a problem in Australia as it is in America, there is a lot of brutality that does go unnoticed between a lot of people, and it does affect quite a lot of people in the aftermath, and it does need to be said. I think it's a difficult time because of COVID, but if it's not said now, I don't think it ever will be, and that's the issue.
Fair enough. I get that, and police brutality is just not on anywhere. I totally agree with that. It doesn't matter which country you're in; that's just not on. The police are supposed to be serving and protecting, not throwing tear gas at us and beating us up on the streets. That's just awful. All right, so I agree with that point. However, let's get back to where you're at. Let's not keep this political game running. I mean, I could talk this all night. I got no problem, but you are a musician. You are an artist. Let's just get back to the point that we're here for. What is coming up for Sarah McAdams? You've just released a new single, obviously, and obviously it's on our charts on the Country Under 20, the All Aussie Country Under 20, which is fantastic. So we need more traction with that. You need to get a bigger profile on Facebook on your music page. You've only got 586 people on your page right now, so you need to grow that. And how do you feel would be a possibility of how to grow that audience?
Well, I think when I was releasing Trainer Carts, the EP, I felt like I wasn't fully being 100% authentically me in a way. And as you can see from the album art, I am very different now. I've kind of changed up my looks, and I can definitely say it's become a more positive thing in my life, because I don't feel like I'm having to pretend to be sort of something else or someone else. And I think if I'm just myself, hopefully people will like me more. I'm not sure. But I'm actually, I've written a couple songs that are sort of more in the style that I've always wanted to write in. And it's kind of a bit of a more jazzy feel, more of an acoustic sort of jazz slash indie sort of feel. And yeah, I think if I'm just more authentic and true to myself with my music and my look and my just personal image in general, I'm hoping that'll sort of help a little bit.
Excuse me. Well, for any artist to be a successful artist, they have to first be themselves. You can't try and be something that you're not. So yeah, kudos to you for changing it up and trying to be more about who you are and not who people expect you to be. That's good.
Yeah, I think first step was the hair, because it just used to be long, and then I went, and it's gone. So that's.
Well, I got long hair. I got long hair now. But if you remember me over 12 months ago, I was completely bald. So yes. So I've changed my look too. If you look at my whiskey CD cover, you got half of my face, and it's bald, and there's less of this, and yeah. So in a matter of 2 years, I've completely changed around. Thanks, Casey Barnes. This is a Casey Barnes challenge. We're bringing up. Well, I'm bringing back the mullet because Casey asked me to. So
I mean, the mullet's coming back in like the punk and alternative scenes, in sort of the more Gen Z to millennial sort of stage. The mullet's back and it's present and it is here.
Yeah.
And I reckon
Yeah.
I reckon it shouldn't be limited to just that scene. I reckon it should be all around.
For sure. I'm going to bring it back, and I'm going to bring it back to country. Don't you worry. I don't know. I don't know if I'll be singing or anything, but you know, I'll radio DJ with this full head of hair. That's the way it is right now. And so yes, it's coming back. My wife says it shouldn't get any longer, but I'm telling her it's getting longer. Oh, it's fun. So yeah, what's next? Are you doing a video clip for Rewind and Stop? Do you have new material that you're planning on bringing out? And yeah, what's coming?
Yeah, not too sure about a music video for Rewind and Stop. I've been told by a couple people that it should be out, but I'm not too sure about sort of like the take on it yet. I think I might do a little bit of deliberation and come back and probably see how that goes.
Here's a thought from me, right? Here's a thought from me, all right? Because we know that you're not an actor and I'm not an actor because we've had that discussion already. Here's what I think. If it's going to be a storyboarded story, you get actors to do the story and you are just singing the song. So somewhere along the line you're singing, but the actors are the ones acting out the story. So instead of you trying to be one of the actors, you just be who you are.
Yeah, I think that's probably a safer option than me having to have a fake argument with an actor about whether chicken nuggets or chicken strips are better.
Yeah, well, yes, that's true. Chicken nuggets, I say, but then, you know, some people might say chicken strips.
See, exactly. I said chicken nuggets too, but then I was told the chicken strips are apparently better, and I just wouldn't have a word of it.
No, I won't go with that. I'd have an argument too. I'd be like, no, forget that. It's nuggets.
Yeah.
Away, so. And then you won't have to throw frizz either.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
That frisbee was an interesting thing to do.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time. We have done over 30 minutes. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and your later anything that's coming out shortly.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Sorry,
No worries.
I didn't know if you said anything. All right, see ya.
We froze again, did we? I said, well, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I wish you all the best of luck with Rewind and Stop, the new single, and anything that's coming in the future.
Perfect, thank you.
No worries. You have a great night. See you later.
You too. Bye.
All right, that was Sarah McAdams, and her brand new track is called Rewind and Stop, and it is available on all streaming platforms, of course, and you can download it from your preferred downloading specialists. You can also listen to it on the Country Thunder Network, and you can vote for it on the Country Thunder 20. So jump on our website, countrythunder.com.au. And until next time, this is DJ Dax for Dax Chats, proudly supported by Neon Horse. See you next time.